Have you seen the beautiful Christmas decorations that places like Pottery Barn have, but they're also really expensive? So today I'm going to show you how to do some DIY and some dupes of Pottery Barn for your Christmas decorating.
It all just goes away. The things I plan to say, oh baby.
All right, so my first project, I'm going to try to make these trees. These are beautiful, these berry trees, but they're also really expensive. So I have these cones. A couple are ones that I've had, and I did find this one at the Dollar Tree. So what I'm going to do is give this one a top because it's flat on the top. So I want to take this other cone and I'm going to cut the top off and I'm going to secure it to the top of the Dollar Tree cone. Once I figured out the size that it needed to be, I just used a little bit of hot glue and secured the top of the other cone in place on this one. And I don't want to see the white of the cone, so I'm going to mix a couple of colors together that are reddish, burgundy-ish, and I'm also going to add in some baking soda to really give a little bit of texture to this paint. The baking soda will help it to stick to the cone a lot easier. So these two cones got a coat of that paint, and once they were dried, this is what they look like. And the red berries, I found them on Amazon. These are very hard to come by, it seems like, but I was able to find them, and I bought plenty to make sure I have enough for this craft. So I cut off individual branches that were on each of these bundles of the red berries. This is a little bit time consuming, but I did find that it's easier to have little sections of the berries when you're applying them to the cones. And then I just had to figure out where I was going to start. So without any rhyme or reason, I just picked up my glue gun and put some of the berries onto the cone. And I continued applying the berries all over the cone. I tried to use the larger sections when I could, but I did have to use some single berries. Now this is what it looks like when it's done. And this is the larger cone. Look at how much the smaller cone is, but this is the larger one. So I'm going to cover that one too. Then I had to have a base. So I had these flower pots. They're just terracotta flower pots. And I decided to use this green paint. I believe it's like a sagey green paint. It's just folk art, nothing fancy. And I painted each of the terracotta pots with the paint. And once they were dried, this is what they look like. And I used a little bit of E6000 on the top of the flower pots. I wouldn't recommend using hot glue because when you put hot glue next to a styrofoam cone, it will literally melt it. And then I just had to secure the flower pots to the bottom of my red berry trees. Now the Pottery Barn version of these trees, for the small ones, they're $99 a piece. But here's my version of the red berry trees. I think they turned out beautiful. I am so happy with them. And these were a lot more affordable to DIY. I was able to make these trees for around $6 a piece, but the time that I dedicated to these trees was totally worth it. Pottery Barn had this really adorable Christmas ornament with gingerbread men on a cookie sheet. And I thought, you know what, I can make that. So I've got these little paint containers that I got from the Dollar Tree. And I used some black and white acrylic paint to paint onto the paint tray. And then I added a little bit of baking soda to help the paint stick. And then I came back with a little gunmetal silver, I believe that's what this is called. And it's just a metallic silver gray paint that I painted on the top and the bottom of the paint tray. Now when that was dry, I wasn't really happy with that color. It was a little too dark. So I came back with some silver paint and I painted over everything that I had already painted. And I used a pouncing motion of my paintbrush to add a little bit of texture to the texture that was already on the paint tray. And when it was dry, I found these adorable little gingerbread cookie shapes at Hobby Lobby. They're for my little Christmas tree. They are ornaments, but I just removed the ornament hanger and now it looks like I have tiny little gingerbread cookies. And then I determined how I was going to have my cookies be on the tray. And there were enough of these ornaments to give me 2 full cookie trays. Then I just used a little bit of hot glue and secured each of the gingerbread cookies into its respective tray. Then I used a little bit of baker's twine, and this baker's twine was red and white, and I made a loop and secured it to the back of the painter's tray, which is now a cookie sheet. Look at how cute these turned out. I am so happy. They are so pretty. Now, they may not look exactly like the Pottery Barn version, but the Pottery Barn version is really expensive. I was able to make 2 of these adorable cookie sheets with the cookies for $4. That was for both of the ornaments. Now, I love the beads that they have at Pottery Barn. They are so beautiful, but they're kind of expensive. So I wanted to see if I could make a bead strand, a giant bead strand, using these ornaments. I can't remember why I bought these ornaments, but I wasn't going to use them. So what I did was I removed the hanger of each of the ornaments. And then I used some silver paint that I actually got at Dollar Tree, and I painted all of the ornaments with 1 coat of the silver paint. And to have the ornaments be able to dry, I took a bamboo skewer and put it into some floral foam. Next, I came back with some Deco Art metallic paint and I just lightly brushed it across the ornaments. I was trying to get different shades of silver and metallic colors to each of the ornaments. Now, once all of that paint had dried, I came back with a little nipper and I nipped off the end of the ornament where the ornament hanger would have been, because I want this to look like a giant bead. I don't want it to look like a Christmas ornament. And to give it a little bit more dimension, I also wanted to apply some silver foil. Now, the silver foil, it's pretty fun to work with. It's like the gold foil, the gilding. First, you apply the adhesive to whatever it is that you're going to be gilding, and the glue goes on blue, and when it's dry, it's clear. That way you'll know when it's ready to be gilded. And I bought this gilding foil. It came with the brush, which I really like. So I think I'm going to save that for a paintbrush and use a little cheap brush in its place. And this gilding kit came with gold foil as well as the silver foil. And the silver is what I want to use for my ornaments. So all I had to do was literally put the ornament onto the foil, and because it has that foil adhesive on it, the silver gilding just sticks. And then I just wiped away any of the excess foil with the paintbrush. Now, to make this a bead strand, I'm going to have another hole. So I used my hot glue gun on the opposite end of the ornament hanger part, and the tip of the hot glue gun is hot enough that it pushed through the ornament very easily. And I figured I want to try to give a little bit more dimension to these ornaments. So I started with some silver rub and buff, but that wasn't really doing anything. So then I used some antique gold, and that does give a little bit of definition to the ornaments and makes them look a little bit different. Now, I found this really cool beading tool, which is so helpful when you're trying to get string to go through beads like this. This would have been really hard to do without this tool. So I just put the beading tool into the ornament, had it come out on the other end, added the twine, and then it was easy to get the bead strand started. And in between each of the ornaments, I tied a square knot. My goal was, again, to have this look like the Pottery Barn large bead strand, but mine just happens to be made out of Christmas ornaments. And once I had used all of the ornaments, I just cut the ends off of the twine that I was using to string them together. And I also wanted to show you, I did this with some painted beads. I got these on Amazon, but again, I used that beading tool to help make the process a lot easier. And I was able to get 6 beads onto the twine at each time because of the beading tool. And once I had used all of the silver beads that I had, I tied a square knot on one end. And then what I did was separate the beads a little bit because I want there to be a space in between. So I'm going to use that twine and I'm going to wrap it around in between each of the beads. I secured it down with a little bit of hot glue. And that is what it looks like. I thought it looked pretty cool. Now you'll notice there's tassels on the end of this bead strand. So let me show you how easy it is to make a tassel. I used some of the same twine that I had and I wrapped it around my hand and then just cut one end off. Next, I took a smaller piece of that twine and tied it about an inch down from the top. I used a little bit of hot glue to secure everything in place. Now I also wanted to have it be really wavy on the bottom, so I unwound each of the strands of the twine, which had 3 separate strands. This is how I was able to give it that wavy look. So then I just have to use the hot glue and I can attach it to my ornament strand. I have had my eye on this tray at Pottery Barn for so long, and I almost went and bought it, but I wanted to see if I could DIY it. So I found this tray at Target, and it's wood. It's similar to the other tray. So I sanded down all of the rough edges, and then I used some black spray paint to start a base coat for this tray. Next, I came back with some metallic silver paint and painted over the entire tray. And the black doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be completely coated. I was trying to give it a little bit of definition with the spray paint to have it mimic the Pottery Barn tray. And if you don't have a wood tray, you can use a plastic one like this one. I got at Hobby Lobby. So again, I started with the black spray paint, and on this one, I did give it a pretty thick coat of the black paint so that it was completely coated. I did the bottom as well as the inside of the tray. And when that was dry, I did come back with that same silver metallic paint. And made sure everything was covered. Now here are some of those projects that I just showed you how to DIY. This is the bead strand, the tiny beads. Here are the larger beads, and they're sitting in that wooden tray. The ornaments actually do look pretty good. Now I saw this holiday floral arrangement and I knew I needed to make this. I just had to make this. Now I had already made this from some Dollar Tree supplies for another project that I just didn't use, and I thought it would be perfect for this floral arrangement. So I cut some pieces of floral foam and secured that to the inside of the tray. Then I had this pine evergreen, I guess this is like a garland, so I just cut off pieces of it and glued it to the floral foam. I worked my way all the way around until you couldn't see the inside of the bowl anymore. And I also had these left over from another project. These are just some different pine pieces. So I secured those in between the original evergreen branches that I had. Then I found these beautiful amaryllis silk flowers on Amazon, and there are actually 4 flowers all gathered up together. And I decided it would be better to use these individually, and then I could just secure them in with some hot glue. This will really give me a much bigger bang for my buck. And this is the end result. I am so happy with how this turned out. I was able to make this piece for about $25, which is a lot more affordable when I compare it to the Pottery Barn version, which was $170. It's so beautiful, and I am so glad I did this. Now, I love these gold candlesticks from Pottery Barn, but I had a bunch of black candle holders from the Dollar Tree and a couple that I found at thrift stores, and I had a lot of extra metallic goldish paints. So I just spray painted all of the candle holders. And by using the leftover spray paint that I had, this was a very affordable project. And I really like the color that I got from combining the 3 different spray paints. I used my new candle holders to create a centerpiece for my dining room table. I also used the extras that I had from other projects of the greenery and then just found some pine cones. And I was able to make all of these candlesticks for around $10. Now, when I saw this Christmas tree at Pottery Barn, I really wanted to see if I could dupe this. So I took a Dollar Tree Christmas tree and fluffed it up just a little bit just to see what I was working with. And it was like, no, I need more. So I did grab another Dollar Tree Christmas tree and I just cut all of the branches off. I know that might sound a little crazy, but I really wanted to get the look of the Pottery Barn tree. And for $2.50, I thought it was worth it to cut the branches off of the Dollar Tree tree. And I literally wrapped jute twine around the trunk of the Dollar Tree tree. I just used hot glue to secure it in place because I want it to look a little sparse in different sections. Then I came back with the branches from the donor tree and I used hot glue to secure the branches in place to make this Dollar Tree tree look a little bit fuller. I started at the bottom of the tree and I worked my way up. Look at how cute that is. It definitely has the look of the Pottery Barn tree, I think. And even if it isn't perfect, once you do the styling like I've done here, it looks a lot better. So this adorable little tree was $2.50 versus the Pottery Barn version, which was $79. I think this one looks just as nice. Now, I love the Pottery Barn pillows, but they are so expensive. This is almost $60 for one pillowcase. I found these pillowcases on Amazon and it was $12.67 for 2. And then there's this little snowman pillow. Isn't he so cute? He's around $30 on Amazon right now, or you can go with the Pottery Barn version and spend $80. And speaking of snowmen, oh my gosh, look at this terracotta snowman at Pottery Barn. And I was so excited when I went to Target and I found this acrylic snowman. Oh my gosh, this is so perfect for my terracotta snowman. So I used the hot glue gun to punch out through that acrylic plastic to mark where the snowman's eyes are going to be. As well as his mouth. and even the buttons down the front. This part does take a little bit of time. You have to be patient if you're going to be doing this, but it will be worth it. Once I was done with that part, I came back with some acrylic paint and I added in some baking soda. The baking soda is awesome for helping the paint stick to plastic like this. And I think you can see I also cut a cardboard circle and secured that to the top of the snowman's hat. Now, I'm using a Dremel, and I don't know, I think this is used to cut metal, but this was the best thing that I could find to get the bottom out of the acrylic snowman. If you're going to be doing this, be sure to wear safety glasses and be very careful when you're doing this so you don't have that plastic flying towards your face. And I just did little bits at a time, and I had the Dremel set at a speed of about 6. I didn't want to go too fast, and the Dremel was good because it helped me to keep control of what I was doing when I punched out that acrylic bottom. So now I can put a candle into my snowman. I had some air dry clay and I basically made a donut and I secured that to the snowman. Then I also used the same air dry clay to give him a nose. And I lightened up the snowman using some acrylic paint that I again had added baking soda to. And to give it that terracotta look like the Pottery Barn snowman, I did fleck on a little bit of burnt umber paint, and look at the snowman. Oh my goodness, this turned out so good. I'm so happy with this snowman. I think it looks adorable and I liked it so much I had to make another one. These snowmen cost me about $5 a piece to make, which is a lot more affordable than the Pottery Barn version at $149 for one snowman. No, this doesn't look exactly like the Pottery Barn terracotta snowman, but I think it looks great and I am so happy that I did it. And just like all of my projects, I am so happy that I did all of them. And I hope I've inspired you and showed you that yes, you can make high-end looking pieces for your holiday decorating and you don't have to spend a lot of money. If you enjoyed this video, please click that subscribe button and click the bell notification so that way you'll get an alert when I have new videos coming out and you can see all of the other DIY projects I'm making. Until next time, happy crafting!